lead story tonight. Um, well, well. It's a shit show. So Sony has announced that they're going to stop producing PlayStation 5 disc games. What we thinking is a shit show. Um, that was a shocker for today. Like, I'm not. I'm trying to find the story. Hang on. I accidentally put the. There we go. I put the wrong link. Um, it's one of those where it's going to happen at some point. Everything was heading in that direction. It's going to happen at some point. I thought it would be happening like in the early 2030s. I thought, see the 2020s out of the way. And then in the early 2030s, that's when things are going to be like fully digital. This comes from Wesley Yinpal over at IGN. Sony just called physical disc production to end in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. Sony has announced that physical disc production ends in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. It's a shock announcement that follows Rockstar's decision not to sell physical disc versions of GTA 6, which is expected to dominate console game sales from this November onwards. This new policy is going to cover all games released on PlayStation consoles from all publishers after this cutoff date. Which some analysts actually believe it's going to be sort of around when the PlayStation 6 is going to release. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. On the PlayStation blog, in response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. That was from Sid Schumann, who's the senior director at Sony Interactive Entertainment. But yeah, I'm not too surprised. Manufacturer disruption has always been the cost that competitors like Steam don't have. That's so true. I'm like, it's weird because like I'm sad even though I'm all digital anyway. I think for me, I've been probably mostly digital for about 5 years or so. So when I was living in Lincoln, the people in my local game shop, they honestly, they literally knew me they knew me just on a like first name basis. Like I would literally hang out in that store and chat to them for like an hour sometimes about games, just like I do with you now. And I used to love going to my local game store. Whenever there was a new game coming out, I'd be straight there. If there was a midnight launch, I'd be there as well. It was so, and then I got to the point where I got on sort of so well with them. It got to the point where like Last of Us 2 statue, which you can see behind me over there from the collector's edition. Like when there was a new collector's edition, it would literally be a case of they would just put one to the side for me. It was literally like the kind of thing. It's like when the current generation came out, it was like I didn't really need to pre-order because they already had them at the side for me. And it's the sort of relationships that you build in like video game stores. I'm gonna miss that a lot. Obviously, there's still gonna be stores and stuff, but where things are going and where things are definitely the UK, there's pretty much nothing like that left really at all. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna miss it. What's funny about this story is though, when I moved to London, I found it harder to actually find a video game store. So by the time I moved on Oxford Street, there was no HMV. HMV is back now on Oxford Street. There was no game as well. And it was actually a lot more harder to find a video game store, weirdly, in London than it was in Lincoln. Honestly, it took longer than I thought to switch. Look at how fast moving VHS to DVD. That's true. I feel like game stores should just pivot to merchant peripherals. I think so. Or they need to be very kind of niche in terms of retro gaming. And like a proper kind of retro kind of sell, shop. But I don't know what it's like in other countries or like in the US. But one of the big factors of how it is at the moment in the UK is that there's literally no kind of video game stores left. Like there's nothing at all really. You had Game Station back in the day that was brought out by Game, and then Game was Game was like the only one on the street. Um, and then eventually, Game got brought by the company that own what is it? House of Fraser and Sports Direct. So then Game moved into like Sports Direct shops, and they were really condensed and really small. Um, So the sort of high street video game stores haven't been in this country for quite a while now. CEX might go out of business though. You know what? I was thinking that earlier today actually. That's the only one left that I go into. I see the thing is with CX, I don't really buy anything from there. I look in CX and if I can find like a cheapish collector's edition, I get it. Or like a cheap amiibo figure for my Switch. But yeah, it was definitely going that direction for a while. But yeah, it's still kind of sad. It's still a bit. It's just the nostalgia of it. I'm gonna miss the physical games. I think the thing which is worst of all with this is how much control that PlayStation have now, because that cuts out the middleman. And you might be thinking that Steam has done this from like decades. They've done it for so long. Thing is with Steam though, that Steam regularly have very, very good sales where you can get games ridiculously cheap. So to the kind of like digitally compared to sort of similar to the sort of price if you were to buy it sort of secondhand in like a CX, for example, with some games. Sometimes the prices are actually better than buying them physical, sort of secondhand from like CX and stuff. And obviously they got their summer sale now. PlayStation, they do have sales, but nowhere to the level at all like Steam does. So if you go to like CX now, I'm gonna guess that you could buy God of War Ragnarok for about 15 quid. Let me have a look. That's just off the top of my head. CEX God of. There we go. Oh, God of War Ragnarok. I forgot that came out PS4 as well. Okay, 22 quid. Buy God of War Ragnarok physical, 22 quid. But if you to get that digitally on PlayStation, that would be about 60, 70 quid. So games are going to be naturally even more expensive than they already are, and they're already going up in price gradually anyway. But now Steam has Steam Machine, so long-term Steam Machine might be cheaper. You know what? That is actually true. If you think about if you think about long-term in terms of the Steam Machine, I think it's a little bit niche of who is going to get a Steam Machine. But it's definitely going to be entry level if you want kind of PC gaming on your couch, on your sofa, on the TV. Obviously, people who already have like, say, PlayStation Pros or like high-end PCs and stuff not going to. But you're absolutely right. Long term, you're going to be saving money now, absolutely, on the Steam Machine because the games are naturally going to be cheaper. Especially the fact that you could just redeem and buy a key off like CD keys, for example, or like loaded and stuff like that. I think if prices if people start seeing the prices of Steam versus PlayStation, they might start switching. Yeah, I think so. I think the only thing where Steam struggles with is just some of the performance issues. I think I saw was it a Digital Foundry video I saw fairly recently, and it was like it was Cyberpunk playing on the Steam Machine and the base PS5, and Steam Machine was getting a lot sort of lower frame rates. But then the thing is, I talk about that as a nerd. The average person isn't actually going to care, which is where I think you do actually have a point. I think you have a point there. But yeah, that's definitely where we are. So that is the death of physical discs, which is coming. Also, finally, what's crazy about that is if you turn to Xbox now, Xbox can't turn around and be like, well, come over to us because we're keeping physical discs and physical media is going to be a thing of Xbox. They can't do that because Sony makes the Xbox game discs, because I believe it's Sony that owns Blu-ray and Xbox games are on Blu-ray discs. So Xbox can't even turn around and be like, come on over to Xbox. We keep you, because PlayStation go around and go, actually, Sony can just go, actually, we're not going to do Blu-rays anymore. So, yeah, no physical games on the Xbox. But speaking of crazy shit, I was just playing Zero Paradise and like Disco. There I unlocked a thought called End of Consumerism that blames technological advancements in terms of service and stepping away from traditionalism that will cause the end of consumer rights. Oh my god, that is so fitting for what we're talking about today, isn't it? You know what? I'm not wishing this, I'm not hoping this, but if there is another kind of big hack of Sony and PlayStation, you know, where it shut down everything, you couldn't play digital games or anything. It was quite a wake up call for Sony. Who's to say that it might happen and they might change their mind? I mean, they probably won't, but that is something there. Obviously, analysts are jumping on all this as well. This is also from Wesley Yin-Paul over at IGN. And analysts believe that the reason why it's stopping production in 2028 is also because that is when the PlayStation 6 is going to come out. So Sony has yet to obviously announce the PlayStation 6 and all that kind of stuff. But Piers Harding Rolls, he's a game industry analyst over at Ampere. He's tweeted to say that the January 2028 cutoff for on-disc PlayStation games almost certainly guarantees that the PlayStation 6 won't arrive until 2028 at the earliest. In fact, his expectation is that the PlayStation 6 will launch at the end of 2028. The announcement also suggests that the standard version of PlayStation 6 won't include a physical media drive. Surprise, surprise. Of course, that is going to be the case. That's at a minimum. But he also said that ditching the disc drive would, in theory, make the PlayStation 6 cheaper to produce. I still think it's going to be about £1,000, though. I hope, personally, the PlayStation 6 doesn't come out in 2028. I just feel like we really don't need next gen. Like, this current gen is starting to just kick off now. Like, this year, October, which is crazy to me, is the first Call of Duty game to not be on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. 6 years into this generation, which says to me, just fucking like, no one can afford any new consoles, no one can afford next gen. Just stretch it out for longer when no one's asking for next generation. One thing to think about games are going to start optimizing for weaker hardware because of RAM prices. They don't want to they don't. I can't talk today. They don't want to outpower the player basis machines. That's true. Sony shareholders need next gen. They're who Sony listen to. That is also true as well. I don't think it'll sell well. I think just economically worldwide, I think anything that is put out there won't sell well. If you put a console for £1,000 over £1,000, it will sell, but it'll only be the die-hard enthusiasts like me, because I save up for ages because it's like my biggest hobby, gaming, and I love it so much. But they won't hit any of the sales expectations that they're expecting to, or obviously they'll lower them down. So they said they can. Moving on the next story, the next Sony story. There's a lot. Tom Phillips over IGN. Sony has announced the closure of its PlayStation Store on the PlayStation 3 and the Vita beginning next month in certain countries. While the storefront will be shut, Sony has said they will ease the transition by allowing players to still download previous purchase content after the following closure dates for the foreseeable future. Mexico, is it, sorry if I pronounce it, Honduras? Is it Nicaragua? Is that how you pronounce it? I probably pronounced that so wrong. I'm so sorry. The PlayStation Store PS3 was going to close from August, so next month. Additional Latin American, Middle Eastern countries, PlayStation Store and PS3 will start closing later this year. And in all other countries, the PlayStation Store and the PS3 and the Vita is going to close in July next year, so exactly a year from now. So then that's that as well. You're upset about that, Jock? I mean, it's always sad, like, when old stores get shut. Obviously, I'm not surprised. It's something that happens all the time. But I never had... Those are two consoles I'd never had. Did the Wii store shut fairly recently as well? Did Nintendo shut the Wii? Or was it the 360? No, the 360 is still going, I think. I don't know. No. Maybe the 360 isn't. And August is your birthday as well? Shit out. Shit out. Now moving over to Xbox, we've got a couple of stories left. It's also been reported today that Xbox's new console, Project Helix, will not have a disk drive. The all-digital future might be more close than we thought. This by Cade Onda over at IGN. According to new reports, Xbox may be moving away from physical media with a console, with its next console currently known as Project Helix. Windows Central has revealed that sources say that Project Helix, the next generation Xbox, will not feature a disk drive. No further details were provided, but the news has come over. PlayStation revealed that it's no longer producing or supporting physical game discs, January 2028. The Verge has also added by reporting that Microsoft is exploring a new disc to digital feature, which I guess, is good. This would allow users to put a disc into the console and gain a digital license for the game, giving them the ability to play it without a disc. If the owner gives the disc to someone else, that entitlement then transfers to the new player. This essentially means that you can't resell or loan your physical copy to a friend. And if you want to keep the digital version, the disc will still work as normal if you choose not to digitalize it. If Xbox cancels State of Decay, I say we cancel Xbox. I agree. Project Helix, I'm not surprised about this at all. This is what I expected. This is what I thought was coming. Obviously, the PS5 Pro, which is another reason why I've gone all digital. I don't even have a disc drive. Is all digital. So I kind of saw Xbox following that anyway. And with Project Helix being basically a hybrid PC console, kind of similar to the Steam machine, obviously it's expected really that it's not going to have a disc drive in it as well. And I think a lot of, my Xbox has a disc drive because I've got the Series X. I never use it though, because with Xbox it's all about Game Pass and stuff on that as well. If Xbox cancels State of Decay though, I say we cancel Xbox. With that, I'm so pissed off with Xbox actually. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at Xbox. I'm pissed off at Microsoft. I have changed my view. I've always been a die-hard Xbox fan. Xbox is what I've grown up with. I love PlayStation as well. My first PlayStation though was in 2018 when I got the PS4 for God of War. And I love all consoles, so I'm not like on one side, like pick a side like console wars or anything like that. But I just, a lot of it comes down to greed. One of the biggest issues of Xbox, where it's struggling with cost and it's struggling with production, is because the parent company is one of the big drivers of all the RAM prices going up, which is crazy. In a way, I kind of think that Xbox should be sold from Microsoft. I don't think there's anything really good with Xbox being still kind of linked to Microsoft at all, especially when Microsoft are really causing most of the problems that Xbox is struggling with. So that's my first kind of issue with that. And then with that, they're setting up games to fail. The fact that Gears of War E-Day is a console exclusive. And what was the other one by In Exile? Clockwork Revolution, console exclusive. But they've also admitted that they can't be really making many new consoles because of the RAM issues and the whole AI situation, all of that, with what's going on at Microsoft. So they're literally basically setting out those games to die, really. Because PlayStation outsells the Xbox massively anyway. Those are going to be console exclusives, and yet they're struggling to build consoles. It makes no sense. If they really wanted people to come over to Xbox, they wanted to sell Xbox consoles, it would make sense to put Fable as an Xbox console exclusive, because that generally does look like a system seller. There's so much hype around it. I can't remember the last game that I saw where a gameplay demo of 30 minutes was uploaded and it got like over a couple of million views. Probably haven't seen that. I guess Witcher 4 would be one. Before that, I would have said Cyberpunk. But that to me is crazy to me. And then announcing a game just to try and stir up interest and buyers for Ninja Theory's next level fucked up. Completely agree. Those are people who worked on that game and spent years of their career. I completely agree. And it's a similar situation now to State of Decay, where that's on the chopping block. Also, Blade is on the chopping block, and Arcane, that made Deathloop and obviously Dishonored games as well. It's a complete shit show. And they're also saying that by 2030, they want to be the biggest gaming I think company or whatever. I can't remember, or the most profitable. I can't remember the exact wording, but they basically want to be top dog by 2030. So they want to be beating PlayStation in some way, I guess, in terms of revenues or whatever by 2030. And this is where it gets concerning because they can technically become the biggest gaming organization um, fairly easily because of the studios that they own and the IPs that they own. When you've got Call of Duty, which is the best-selling game year after year. When you've got Fable, Fable, I guess. The Scrolls, Fallout. You've got Doom. You've got Halo. You've got Gears. You've got Crash Bandicoot. You've got Spyro. Um, you've got licenses to older kind of, sort of Activision backlog kind of games, like maybe Transformers, stuff like that. I know that I'm missing a few, but you've got what I'm trying to say. You've got all of these IPs. You could be sort of the top dog if you stop making consoles and you become a third party publisher and you publish on just PlayStation, PC, Nintendo, and just focus on that and don't focus on the hardware. This feels really fucked up for me to say as an Xbox fan. I feel like I'm kind of like like I feel like I'm betraying my ways, but I would much rather have Undead Labs making a State of Decay 3. I'd much rather have Ninja Theory out there making a Hellblade. I'd rather have Blade being made by Arcane. I'd rather have um, quirky games being made by Double Fine, for example. I'd rather have those studios still existing in some way, in some shape or form, creating really cool, great pieces of art than Xbox basically cutting costs because it's like, right, we need to make way for the future of Xbox and the future of hardware and all of that kind of stuff. I'd much rather have those studios stay and survive, make great games that we can play, and they just stop doing the Xbox hardware, or they just go full steam ahead with Project Helix, and they make Project Helix like over £1,000, but they literally just say our focus now is publishing video games, and what we are now doing is on the hardware side is just making like very kind of like not bespoke, but like for the hardcore kind of gamers, like almost like a PC kind of manufacturing kind of thing, like proper top of the range. If you're like a proper kind of enthusiast of kind of Xbox and gaming in general, these are the machines for you. But for an average gamer, you can play all of our stuff on PlayStation, all that kind of stuff. That's what I think they should do. I think they should just be a publisher now. I think the Xbox as a console should be dead. Oh, I feel so bad saying that. But if all these reports are true and all that happens next week, there shouldn't have been an Xbox. Praying that EU and UK monopoly watchdog step in and tell them to get fucked. I hope so. I hope so. It's a complete utter shit show. And the final story, it's all depressing stories, I'm afraid. This is from Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. GTA 6 developer Rockstar Games has been accused once again of crunch, ignoring pay inequity, and also weaponizing bonuses as well. According to a new report by game developer, 3 members of Rockstar Games Workers Union (RGWU), who wish to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal, has accused Rockstar Games of several issues. The report stated that developers who reached out to the company were not among those who were recently laid off for alleged union efforts. Developers accused Rockstar Games with lack of transparency around pay and bonuses, which the sources said are used to control and manipulate staff. When the bonus is particularly good, it can be a windfall, but often the bonus is disappointing, and one can end up being paid considerably less than expected for the year, said one employee. They continued that the reasoning given for this is often nebulous, inconsistent between departments, even inconsistent between team members within the same department, and sometimes hinges on the completely subjective retroactive criticisms. Another accusation regarding pay is that the gender pay gap at Rockstar has widened as well in recent years. And finally, the employees accused Rockstar of still having a crunch culture, even going so far as to include overtime practices in contracts. Crunch is prevalent enough that the company has built it into our contracts as standard and opt out of the working time regulations that stop your employer being able to ask you to do more than about 10 hours extra each week, said one employee. What's worse is that this isn't the first time that Rockstar Games has been accused of crunch culture, assuming the studio hasn't learned from past mistakes or from employees speaking out about the awful workload. I'm I'm actually kind of surprised about this, I'll be honest, because I remember just before Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018, there was a massive report that came on about the working conditions at Rockstar Games and all the crunch that was going on. And they got they got hounded for it, Rockstar did. And Rockstar had to really, really come out and be like, yeah, what we've done is really fucked up. It's not really good for our staff at all. We're putting all of these plans and everything into motion so that crunch culture is going to be eradicated, it's going to be gone. We're not going to have that. That is the reason why you're not going to see GTA 6 for so long, because we're not going to crunch through the game. We're not going to crunch on the game. So you'll get GTA 6 when it's ready. So, we wait 13 years overall for GTA 6. And look what's happened. Lo and behold, all the same issues allegedly seem to still be going on, as well as all the shit around pay, bonuses, gender equality as well. Yeah, they haven't learned. It's all fucked up. It's quite funny in terms of timing because I was looking up. I think I said this in the last stream. I was looking at the Rockstar Games in Lincoln, where I used to live, and because I used to go to school near the Rockstar Games offices, and that's very much a play testing sort of studio for Rockstar. So they do all the kind of QA, quality test, all that kind of stuff. And it came out during the news during the development of Red Dead Redemption 2 that was the worst studio for crunch and had some of the worst working conditions. So I'm a little bit concerned if that's still, I imagine that might still be the case, maybe as well. Honestly, wish that I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. That's true. Rockstar have shown all they care about is chasing the money. That is very true, especially with GTA Line. It's all about the money. Same with unlocking the game features behind day one DLC. That is so true as well. Honestly feels like they've betrayed gamers as a whole in terms of Xbox. I agree. I completely agree. It's that thing with Xbox where they keep stepping on brakes. You know, in that Simpsons episode, I can't remember, is it Ned Flanders or is it Homer? Might be Homer, where he keeps stepping on the rake and it keeps hitting him in the face. That's literally what it's like. It's like Xbox do something good, or they have a good showcase, you get loads of hype around it, like, oh my god, Spyro's coming back. State of Decay 3, that looks amazing. I mean, we reacted to the Xbox showcase a month ago, almost, less than a month ago, and it was the best showcase. It was amazing. The games there were so good. Hype around Xbox, this is great. And then step on that rake, all of that is kind of eroded. It's a shit show. What a load of absolute bollocks. I say, it's all bollocks.